Hello, welcome back to Essential Oils. We are beginning Module 6 and Essential Oils for Common Digestive Conditions. And the categories that we will be covering in this module are food stagnation, regulate qi, clear heat, damp heat, warm the interior, tonify qi, and tonify yang. And because we've covered a lot of oils in depth at this point, when we want to cover those oils in and how they can be useful in digestive conditions, we're just going to touch back in with them and just talk about how they're useful in digestive conditions. So we should move along more quickly from here on out. And the first oil that we're going to cover, though, is dill, which we haven't covered yet. So we're starting with the food stasis category, and dill is in the food stasis category and stop cough. And it's a great stop cougher. Oil. We could have covered it in that section, but since we're going to be covering it in its entirety here, we will be talking about that. It also resolves phlegm in the lungs and regulates qi. These are categories. Again, lung. Okay, it is a base note. It is warming. Goes to the lung, stomach, and gallbladder. Primarily lung and gallbladder. It's a 2% dilution, so a low dilution rate. It is contraindicated for children and contraindicated in pregnancy. Also with heat and empty fire, liver wind, and liver yang rising. Its actions are antiviral, antitussive, stomachic, bile stimulant, amenagogue, and then E. coli in the urinary tract. That's pretty specific. I think that should be down in a different section, but it's active on E. coli in the urinary tract. And then we already covered the categories up here. So I'll just leave that there and we'll go through the functions. First function is to descend the lung qi for coughing. Helps to create a pause at the bottom of the exhalation. Kind of disrupt a coughing fit. It can be used to resolve food stasis and promote digestion, and it actually strengthens digestion. It promotes bile secretion, menses, and lactation. And let's see, it's good for immediate distension after eating. So you eat something, feel bloated and distended right away. Dill is a good oil. It's good for somebody who has an aversion to wind and doesn't like change. And just like it helps to create that pause at the bottom of the exhalation, it helps to create a pause in the wind to allow them to get their bearings and adjust. It's good to break through worry, compulsion, and mental absorption. It's good for somebody who has trouble with compulsive thinking during meditation, clearing that gallbladder and stomach dampness. It's active on the ghost points when there's possession or deep-rooted phlegm, and someone is unaware of their own stuckness. So someone who's not aware of their own stuckness, using dill on the ghost points can help to break through that phlegm and possession and bring awareness back. And it resolves phlegm by regulating lung qi, and that helps to stop cough, and by regulating the qi of the gallbladder, which helps with the thinking, the overthinking, and regulate the qi of the stomach to help with digestion and also lactation, I would think. But yes, so strengthens digestion, resolve food stasis, promotes digestion, good for distension immediately after eating. those are the relevant points for this section. And that is dill. And then for the other food stasis herbs, we're just going to touch back to them. We're not going to revisit them fully. So another one in the food stasis category that we have already gone over is basil. And how basil is helpful with digestive conditions is that it distends stomach qi. Again, you guys got all these little, I don't even realize that I write in my Chinese medicine shorthand, so hopefully it's clear, and the fact that I'm speaking to will clue you in. But yeah, distends stomach qi for nausea, and it drains damp from the lower jiao. It's good for people who eat little but still gain weight. And it promotes Wei Qi in the intestines, so peristalsis. And a lot of the oils we're going to go over this evening do this. Promote Wei Qi in the intestines. So these are great ways that basil can be used to help with common digestive conditions. And basil is warming. And then grapefruit, which we also already covered in depth. And grapefruit is helpful in digestive conditions of liver invading spleen. It promotes bile function. And it helps to resolve stagnation of qi, food, and phlegm. And it reduces sweet cravings. Grapefruit for digestive conditions. And this helpful in a lot of ways. So we've got the, this bile function, liver invading spleen, resolving the stagnation. All of those are really helpful. And grapefruit's easy to use. It's not harsh. It's pleasing. It blends well with a lot of other oils. So remember grapefruit. And then storax or styrax. Promotes appetite. Food stagnation. Resolves turbidity. And it is active on intestinal worms. So that's our food stasis category. And the introduction to Module 6. And Let's see, I'm trying to just see how to divide this up best to make this easy for you to listen to. Let's go ahead and go through regulate chi and astringe, and then I'll start a new video. So regulate chi, the first one that we're going to cover is bergamot. Bergamot is in two categories. It's in cool release exterior and regulate chi. It's a top note. The peels are what is distilled. It's slightly cooling. Has affiliation for the lung and stomach. This is interesting, you don't see this too often. This is a 20% dilution rate. So keep that in mind when you are blending. It is photosensitive. So keep that in mind. Its actions are anti-inflammatory, anti-infectious, antispasmodic, mucolytic, and antiviral. This is the herb Zhirsher, and it is also, it will smell very familiar to you if you are not familiar with it yet. It is what makes Earl Grey tea Earl Grey. It's black tea with bergamot. And so when you smell this, you'll think, it smells just like Earl Grey, so without the tea. Okay, so up here we've got the main functions, we've got the categories, we've got the info and the categories, and now we'll go over the functions. Stimulates Wei Qi for oral and urogenital infections due to exterior heat or interior heat, exterior or interior heat. It's active in that capacity on herpes simplex. And it promotes the distension of stomach chi to assist digestion. So it's doing those two things. It fits its categories. It's helpful for liver invading the spleen and stomach, especially when that's an aspect of wind heat. Helps reduce nausea, indigestion, bloating. Helps to regulate the appetite for obsessive eating. That's an interesting one. That could be a very useful function. Promotes relaxation. It's very relaxing. I actually think you could find this in a calm shen category as well. And Jeffrey says that it's strong to invite a smile. Good for people who are depressed, dark, and introverted, but that is not their true self, and it helps them to shed that sadness. And the flip side, he says it can also be for someone who enjoys being in the spotlight a little too much. It can be used with eucalyptus to help somebody let go. It brings light. It can help somebody feel comfortable to re-enter the world of light and social interaction. You need to be cautious with it in the bath because of that positive sensitivity. It can cause skin irritation. So really wonderful oil. And let's just add here calm shen as another category. Okay. And after bergamot, we're going to cover petitgrain. Oh, these are some of my favorite oils. petitgrain. Oh, hang on. So petitgrain is the top mid note. The leaves and the stems are what is distilled. It is cool. Goes to lung, heart, and stomach. 6 to 8% dilution. And no contraindications, but a little bit of photosensitivity. And I think we talked about this, of their, this is the leaves and stems of an orange tree. Orange is the peel, and then neroli is the flower. And then we've got, see if I can fit categories on here where you can see them. Regulate chi, and in this capacity, in the way that it does this, it also is a calm shen oil. Food stagnation, these are sort of not officially categories, but they really fits into those categories of food stagnation and transform dampness. Actions are nervine, antidepressant, and antispasmodic. And for functions, it regulates qi in the chest and epigastrium, calms the shen by regulating qi, strengthens memory by transforming dampness. It is very good for rebellious stomach qi and food stasis, nausea, vomiting, hiccups, epigastric fullness, and sour reflux. And I have a note here too that it could also be helpful for malabsorption. It's for the stomach qi and food stasis. It's very active on Ren 12 and stomach 36. It is good for somebody with a collapsed chest, high irritability, and highly developed trapezius. And it's a good oil for the skin, very balancing for the skin. And in this digestive condition capacity, we've got that rebellious stomach qi and food stasis. That's petitgrain. I use this oil a lot. It's one of my favorite regulate chi oils. I think it has that calm shen aspect in with it, and it's not super pushy. It has the heart affinity. I love this oil. I really do use it a lot. I recommend getting to know this oil. And then we're going to touch back in with lavender. And again, look at it solely in how it can be helpful with digestive conditions. So it promotes peristalsis. And it soothes the liver. And it releases heat if there's a heat component. So lavender can be helpful in those ways with digestive conditions. Orange. Such a great, versatile, easy to use oil. Descends stomach qi. Promotes peristalsis. Clears stomach fire. Descends stomach qi, anorexia, lack of appetite, indigestion, abdominal spasm and pain, flatulence, nausea, vomiting, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome. So really helpful digestive oil. And again, good for kids. And then we're going to look at peppermint. So peppermint helps with digestive conditions by promoting digestion. And by soothing Wei Qi. So it's really good for intestinal spasm. It's good for nausea, flatulence, and dyspepsia. Okay. Peppermint, digestive functions. And then last one we're going to cover and regulate qi, and again we've already covered this oil as well, is rosemary. So rosemary stimulates the liver and gallbladder. That's its main digestive contribution, but it also opens the diaphragm. Which can be helpful in some digestive conditions, especially, it's in the regulate qi category. If there's a lot of qi stagnation that's contributing to the digestive condition, if the diaphragm's really in lockdown, things that are going down aren't going to be going down, qi that should be rising isn't going to be rising. So opening the diaphragm can be helpful too, as well as stimulating the gallbladder, stimulating bile production with its other function. And then there's just one oil that we're going to cover in a stringe, so we'll go ahead and do that now. And that is cistus. If I can find it. All right, cistus. Categories, we have astringe, stop bleeding, that's kind of that's where it really shines, and calm shen. It's a base note. The leaves and twigs are distilled. It's warming, slightly warming. Goes to liver, spleen, and kidney. There's a 3% dilution, not for use in pregnancy. It is an antidepressant and hemostatic, a vulnerary, and a mucolytic. It's a fixative, and it prevents spreading. It's a strong base note. You don't want to use it daily. And you even have to be careful if you're using it in a formula that's going to be used fairly regularly, even in rotation, because people can develop a resistance to using it and also develop the sort of that saturation point of its effectiveness. Its functions, it regulates liver overacting on spleen, and this helps with diarrhea and hemorrhoids. So it's a really good hemorrhoid oil because it's overacting, it's it's helping to prevent liver overacting on the spleen, and then it also has a super strong stop bleeding function. And then function number 2 is stop bleeding. Asterisk that, it's really important. It banks the blood. It's astringing spleen yang to bank the blood. It astringes yang to expel cold on the surface. In that capacity, it's good for nasal congestion, throat bee, and cold extremities. And can apply it directly to bleeding wounds. It is very wonderful on spleen 1 to stop bleeding. And again, it's that astringed spleen yang to bank the blood. And we'll come back to this in gynecological conditions, I hope. If we don't, I'm telling you now. You can use it on spleen 1 to stop menstrual bleeding. So that's a great function, and it can be really quick. I mean, you can needle that point in the same capacity, and using the oil on spleen 1 is really strong for that too. It is good for a state of deficit. Someone who's always losing things due to deficient blood might stay up too late to get something out of the day. It's good for bee obstruction. I have a note here that it can prevent the spread of cancer, and that's probably indicating skin cancer. It's astringent. It can help to astringe the spirit and make you more comfortable with what you have. It is strongly calming. It's good for hypothyroid. It can astringe yang to help somebody get to sleep, especially menopause or insomnia around menopause. It helps to bring that yang in. And it's good for blood deficiency depression, where there's a loss of meaning in someone's life. And it can be a rescue oil. And again, that's that astringed yang function. And I have here as a note, possibly even if somebody's suicidal. So in terms of the digestive component, liver overacting on spleen. Very good on diarrhea. It's astringent. It helps liver overacting on spleen. It stops bleeding if there's blood in the stools. And then it has all these other wonderful, amazing functions and capacities as well. So that is going to wrap up this first video of Module 6. And the next video in Module 6, we will pick back up with digestive conditions, and we're going to go to clear organ and channel heat next, and then clear damp heat, and clear summer heat. And those will be our next video.